have struggled hard to find the words to commemorate sweet 17-year-old Doa. And still, I cannot find any words to do her justice. Maybe there are no words to commemorate a teenager stoned to death in the Iraqi Kurdish hillside village for being in love with the wrong 19-year-old boy. A mobile phone clip shows her being dragged from the sheikh's house to the marketplace in a headlock, wailing and screaming as police watch on. There, her beautiful body is faced with a hail of stones, and she is repeatedly kicked. Finally, her uncle approaches her as she tries to struggle to her feet and smashes a huge piece of concrete over her head. The mob then dumps her bloodied and battered body in a rubbish pit. No one tells her parents, who do not want her killed, that she is dead until the next day. Her two brothers then dig her body out so she can be buried in a cemetery. Later, her mother is seen at her grave howling and caressing the plain concrete headstone, saying, "The last thing you told me was that you were hungry. Come back home, let me cook and feed you." But Doa will not be coming home, nor will many other nameless, faceless women and girls killed in the name of some vile honor. At least 5,000 every year, according to the UN, and we know that's only the tip of the iceberg. In Britain alone, up to 17,000 women are subjected to honor-related kidnapping, sexual assaults, beatings, and murders every year, most of them in their very homes and by those closest to them, their fathers, their husbands, their brothers, and their extended family members. Since Doa's murder, more have been killed and even stoned, including Sarah Jafar Nimmat last August. She was only 11 years old. As I said, it is hard to find the words to do Doa justice. I'm really sorry. This has really affected me badly. But justice is all that we have left to offer her if we are truly to commemorate her life. And part of that means holding that which is responsible to account. Most honor killings take place in countries ruled by Islam or Islam-ridden communities, including in the West. We need to say this. Of course, sex division, discrimination in the production process, a disadvantaged section within the working class are good for profits, which is why we can't seem to get rid of violence against women, though many old traditions, customs, and practices have disappeared when no longer relevant. Of course, there is patriarchy, misogyny, and violence against all women in all societies, not just those ruled by Islam. In the US, 10 women are killed every day. And in Sweden, according to 1989 statistics, 1 woman is killed every 10 days by someone she knows. But focusing on one form of violence doesn't mean the denial of other forms of violence against women, and only seems to become an issue when the matter being raised is linked to Islam and the political Islamic movement. When it comes to those whose rights are deemed culturally relative, 1,000,001 prefects step up to list every single issue in the world that is either as important or more important. I mean, we're not even allowed to call it honor killings. Domestic violence is the preferred terminology, so as to avoid any offense to Islam. And yes, I know all religions are misogynist and discriminatory and obsessed with controlling women, sex, and sexuality, not just Islam. Nonetheless, there is a distinction that must be made with Islam in this day and age, because it is the banner of a political movement, because it does have state power, because it is vying for political power, because Islam is part and parcel of the state machineries and the laws in many countries in the Middle East and North Africa. When Doa is killed in broad daylight, the police stand by and watch. Those responsible are not arrested. Even if anyone ever is, which is rare, Article 111 of the Iraqi Penal Code will allow reduced sentences in cases where, quote, dishonor is established as a motive. Not only that, but the state, the law, the police, the judiciary, the imams and the sheikhs are all in agreement that such killings are necessary and even honorable in order to maintain the social order and control that women who bring chaos in society by transgressing Islamic norms and rules. Stoning is actually legal in places like Afghanistan, Iran, Nigeria, Pakistan, and the Sudan. This year, over half a dozen women in Iran were sentenced to stoning, with 3 known official stonings since 2006. 2 women await stoning in the Sudan. And just this past week, a couple have been stoned to death in Pakistan. You cannot do justice to the victims of honor killings if you do not point the finger at Islamic states and the political Islamic movement, which is the biggest mass murderer of women in this day and age. As Hajim al-Iraqi Muqtada al-Sad's representative in Baghdad says, if you crack down on honor killings, you will only encourage adultery. And as a top cleric in the Islamic regime of Iran said last week, women who do not respect Islamic rules are, quote, the source of all that is bad in society. This doesn't take blame away from US-led militarism, which is directly responsible for the encouragement and growth of the political Islamic movement, including in today's Iraq. It doesn't ignore other forms of violence against women. But in the 21st century, honor killings are as much a symbol of the political Islamic movement as is veiling or sexual apartheid. Despite the attention and outrage, they are on the rise because this movement is on the rise. And we can only really begin to stop honor killings if we stop this movement in its tracks. In her last moments, Doa struggled to stand even when surrounded by a mob who were out to kill her. She refused to do what was expected of her in life and in death. She is both the personification of the vile and subhuman status of women under Islamic rule, but also the refusal and resistance of millions of men and women against 21st century barbarity. To commemorate Doa, we have a duty to stand up with the resisting people of the Middle East and North Africa and to say enough is enough. Thank you.